for the town of Coral. Where can we go? And so we're going to dream a little bit. We're going to talk about what we can do, because everybody can do something. And so hopefully out tonight we'll have some dreams we can follow up with. We'll have a team we can act upon, and we can take the love of Christ and show it in practical ways. But you know, rural America, and so just kind of starting off light, you know, everybody doesn't get rural America, do they? Here's a great example of somebody not understanding rural America.
Not many cars were moving, but mooing could be heard on the Capitol Beltway around Washington, D.C. early this morning. A tractor-trailer transporting Black and Gus, there's Black or Gus, was stopped on the side of the Beltway while the driver changed a flat tire.
I wonder if those cows named Black and Gus were actually Black Angus cows, perhaps.
So I thought I'd do a little research on Pastor. I actually found their first house here. And then I found some childhood pictures of Pastor. Whenever he got in trouble, they dressed him in pink and stuck him to the wall there. And then, you know, Pastor's kind of entrepreneurial, so he started his first business, and this was his first business. It needed a little bit of work on the marketing here, but I won't go there or not. You know, rural America is just a fun place, you know, and the most inventive people you can ever imagine. But you know, God had a sense of humor, and He knew about rural America. And one of His first public mission statements was found in Luke chapter 4, verse 18. It says, "God's Spirit is upon me. He's chosen me to preach a message of good news, to poor, sent me to announce and pardon the prisoners and recovery of sight of the blind, to set the burden battered free and announce this is God's year to act." And that's what we're doing tonight. That this is God's year to act. And that we're going to be intentional. There's groups out there that are very intentional on attacking us. And the church is not taking that same approach. In Missouri, the state of Missouri, we're born and raised Oklahomans, lived in Oklahoma all our lives. Because of missions, we're Oklahoma missionaries. We've been missionaries for 12 years now. This job has taken us to Springfield, Missouri, where we work out of. We live in Willard, but we're Oklahomans. But since we're living in Willard, we got in Willard schools, some of them, not all of them, we have a thing called Good News Club. It's like an after-school church club, basically. We get to share the gospel with the kids and give them a Bible lesson and snack. And we get to do it at the school. It's an awesome program. This year, though, another group has risen up, and they're calling themselves the Satan's Club. And they're targeting every school in Missouri that has a Good News Club in it. And what it is, they're using Satan Club as this kind of a bait word, but they're the atheists. It's an atheist group who's coming against us. But they're being very intentional. And so we as a church, we need to be very intentional in what we do in our approach to the Lord. And here's what we're doing tonight. It's in John 21:6. Throw out your net and see what happens. That's what we want to do tonight. We're going to target quorum. We're going to throw out our net and let's see what happens. Some ideals you guys come up with tonight, we're going to use those. And like I said, we're going to throw it out there and see what happens. It may work, it may not, but guess what? We're going to be intentional about what we're doing. And so here's some stats real quick, and we'll get through some of this stuff and start dreaming. But U.S. church stats in the Outreach magazine put 60% of U.S. church members believe the primary purpose of the church is to provide a place for fellowship for one another rather than reach out to those who are unchurched. What a sad state. That's what we see. See, this is my world, and I love it. I am rural. We are rural. You know, that's all I do is rural America. And so we go from rural town to rural town. What we see a lot of times in rural towns is the church kind of circling the wagons. Because what they see is they see people leaving, jobs leaving, so they circle the wagons. They want to keep who they have. And so all the focus comes inward. And these four walls of the roof actually becomes a prison instead of a sanctuary. And so we get trapped and we quit focusing outside. 9 out of 10 churches in America are either declining or growing at a pace more slowly than the growth of their community. 90% of U.S. churches are losing ground in their community. I'm going to show you, skip this a bit. Here's an interesting stat for you. Out of the 132 contacts that Jesus had with people in the recorded New Testament, 6 were in the temple, 4 were in the synagogue, and 122 were in the mainstream of life. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. 122 was outside these 4 walls. That's where his focus was. That should be our focus. Here's who we don't want to be. You know, if you're 44 headed to St. Louis, Missouri, you pass this Doolittle sign. So I thought it'd be interesting what churches were in there. You know, can you imagine if there's a Doolittle Assembly of God? There's a lot of those, let me tell you. But we don't want to be the little flock. You know, we don't want to be that church known as that. But we want to be churches intentionally going after people in our community. And here's the way we do it. Like, you know, when you go fishing, I'm not the most patient person in the world, so I carry the tackle box that has about 1 of everything in it. And I'll give it 5 minutes. If it doesn't happen, I'm switching lures. We got to do something different here. But the church has been stuck on the same bait so long, we're not catching nothing. Here's a great example of this.
Will you teach me how to fish, Grandpa?
Sure I will, Tim. Well, first you have to plan out your trip. Prepare your gear for a great day ahead. And don't forget to practice, practice, practice.
Really, Grandpa? What else?
And always be patient and keep on fishing. Because sooner or later, you'll make your catch.
Tonight, we want to think outside the box, and I think it's a different strategies. Have you guys ever heard of the cow pie theology? Cow pie theology is church people are like manure. Spread them out and they help everything grow better. Pile them up and they stink things up. We don't want to stink everything up, we want to help them grow. And so that's what tonight's about. In order for that to happen, we want outreach to be part of every part of the DNA of this church, of At the Cross. So every part of At the Cross has some sort of outreach in it. You're talking about the kids' ministry. They're doing the outreach project. Maybe they're tying bows on some of this stuff. I don't know. But every department, the men's ministry, we're talking about reaching out to the widows. That's outreach. That's what I'm talking about. The women's ministry, taking on a project and reaching out. Every part of the church is reaching out in some way. So that way they know that Purim at the Cross is about the community, about loving on Purim in practical ways. And so that's why it has to be in DNA. And we work with the church in Montana, Plains, Montana. It's a great church, great pastor. They caught the vision about DNA and outreach DNA in every part of their DNA. And here's a video they put together. I'm going to show it to you. It's very impressive what they've done there now in Plains, Montana.
And other people see, and in some cases may be the only Jesus they see. Let's live truly as followers of Jesus Christ, Christ in us. And that in itself is the most attractive way to bring people to the gospel.
Well, I've determined through the years to produce a church that's not a subculture. For us as a church to lead beyond our walls, we have to have people that will step up and step out. We strive to provide everything we can in our community to meet the needs of the people, firewood, and it's huge in our area. The economy has struck everyone. So we try to step up and deliver firewood to as many homes as we can. And we skid the timber and we fall it, try to deliver. We believe that you can only be a sheep for a little while And then you have to become a ranch hand. You have to understand that compassion is always inconvenient. I've never had it convenient when my phone to ring and go meet someone else's need. But that's what Jesus did. When we grabbed a hold of that, we begin to understand that we can be true servants.
Hundreds of lives every month are touched in some way by God and by God's hand extended through this body. And if this body were to suddenly not be a part of this community, I think it would have a serious detrimental effect. God is a major force in this community, and He uses this church to do that, and we're just happy to be along for the ride.
If that church wasn't there, people on Tuesdays may not have a place to come and gather and have a hot meal, a place where they can shop and get some new clothes to them.
If this church left, then we wouldn't have a food bank, we wouldn't have a soup kitchen. You know, there's just a lot of things that wouldn't get done.
I'm a very small part of this operation, and through the years, those sheep that have become ranch hands, and they do an exceptional job at meeting the need in our community. God taught me that if it's going to be a bear, it might as well be a grizzly, and that I approach everything with a big idea, because God has big ideas.
It started with a dream for them. They had a dream to do something in their community. They started with one pickup and one chainsaw. And you saw they have a semi-truck now. They have, if you ever go out there, you'll see pyramids of firewood that they've got ready for the winter coming up. It all started like this. They just want to dream a little bit. But what is possible? What can we do? They took the outside the box approach. They thought of outreach as different than normally would. I want to do this. Everybody cross their fingers and just lay their hands kind of like this. Okay, now take your thumbs, just your thumbs, and swap. What does that feel like? It's awkward. Not that you can't do it, this is different, right? This is not what's normal. And that's what we're talking about tonight in the outreach. We want to look at outreach as different. You know, I was telling Pastor earlier, I grew up in church all my life. I've been the one sleeping on the pew, under the pew, all over the pews, you know? And so during my time in church, I've always been, I was in youth, the youth leadership, and the leadership team, they always take us out somewhere public. And say, all right, you're going to witness to 3 people, and then we can go home. I'm an introverted person. I'm real quiet, shy, I'm not real forward going. So for me to go up to the park with some stranger I don't know and say, hey, you're going to hell, but by the way, Jesus loves you. I can't do that. That's just not me. And so what can I do? And so that's what we'll look about tonight is like, you know, handing out tracts, going door to door, handing out flyers. That's good. That's very good and it's needed. But we also need to think differently about what is outreach? What does it mean to do outreach? Everybody can do outreach. I don't care your age, where you're at in life. Everybody is able to do outreach because God has given you gifts, He's given you talents to use in His name. And are we doing that? Let's take a look at that tonight and see what we're doing with the talents God's given us. Let me show you this, what a church can be.
Lately, it seems that we are getting more and more confused about what a church actually is. So let's take some time to set the record straight. Church is not a building, though a building can be used by a church. Church is not a denomination, though a set of beliefs should be important to a church. Church is not about Sunday, though a church should not forsake meeting together. Church is not about one person or personality, though every church should be pastored. The church is not about size or growth, though every church is called to make disciples. So don't think of church as an address or a location, but rather think of church as mobile and on the move. Don't think of church as something built or planted, but rather think of church as something deployed. Don't think of church as where you are for an hour each week, but rather what you are every day of the week, because the church is the hands and feet with Jesus Christ. Feet shouldn't sit still. Hands shouldn't be idle. Feet go. Hands do. This is the church. Church isn't what you're sitting through right now, because you are the church. Now go and be the church.
I love that picture right there. You get what it's about. About going and being where you're at, where God's placed you to be. Here's the barn syndrome. You see the barn, you see the farmer. What is the farmer always taking out of the barn? The tractor, right? To go get the harvest, right? Are we barn-centered or field-centered? He doesn't take the tractor in the barn and collect the harvest. He's always hooking up and going out. So we have the barn syndrome. John 4:35 says, "Look up and see that the fields are already white and ready for harvest." Here's Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity. I'm sure you've heard this before. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Our message never changes, but our methods will need to be tweaked. When's the last time you've done something for the first time? One number one chief complaint I hear from churches all the time, man, we do this huge outreach Friday. Sunday we have one couple. And they're so disappointed. But yet next year they'll do a huge outreach again. Man, we didn't see nobody from the outreach. They're just banging their head. Let's take a different approach. Let's try something new. When's the last time you tried something for the first time?
So I can reach out and make 20% of the there are no branches.
20%.
He's just a little reluctant to try new things.
What's wrong with trying new things?
Feel that in your muscles?
Some of us are scared to try new things, but that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is just different ways, different approaches of trying new things. And the place we want to start is it's going to take a team. You know, pastor and the leadership here, they can't do it alone. It's going to take a team of people, a team of individuals to do this, to carry this out. Because God's laid things on your heart. God's given you gifts, God's given you talents to do something. My mother-in-law and mother are great cooks, and they go to the same church in Oklahoma City. And they had a passion, desire to do a cooking ministry. So they thought, you know, what if we fed the shut-ins, the widows of the church? And so they went to pastor and said, Pastor, we have this dream of making food and delivering it to the elderly, the shut-ins, those who are in need. He said, great, go ahead and do it. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, go do it. Okay. So they had to raise the money, they got the funds, they got the program going, and now they deliver, I think, around 100 meals every Tuesday. All started because a dream they had and the talents that God had given them. That's what we're talking about. And so this idea of teamwork, we got to have teamwork in order to make this thing succeed. Teamwork. So here's our 4 targets. There's 4 targets we want to hit on tonight, and these are the 4 targets. Again, we just want to cast our net out. And 4 targets are, I guess I need to change my color there. It's hard to read. Assessment, community involvement, stakeholders, relationships, and public school friendships. So first place we want to start is community assessments. A lot of pastors, a lot of towns we go to, we ask them, about their community, and they know their community, and a lot of you guys know the community. One thing we find, though, is a lot of our churches have never done a community assessment. And so what that is doing like a demographic study of who's in your town, the demographics of, say, grandparents raising their grandkids, single parents raising their kids, and so find that out so we can be intentional. So once we have this information, we can be more targeted in some of our ministry. And say we find out the poor will maybe be the #1 county in the section here that has grandparents raising their grandkids. Then we would know where to focus some of our attention. And so this is an easy, kind of a no-brainer place to start. And here's some websites. ePodunk, what do you think that speaks to, right? That's specifically for rural communities. And it's all, this is all free stuff. ePodunk.com, census.gov, city-data, and then last one, the ARDA.com. These are all great websites where you get information about your community. ePodunk, it would be a great place to start, especially for the rural communities. But it's a great place to find out what's in your community. We did this at one training in Arizona. And the church did this, they did a demographic study in their community. They found out their community was #1 in the state for single moms raising their kids. So then they were very intentional in doing a single moms ministry. Now today they're blowing up with single moms because they've done such a great job of reaching out to the single moms in their community. They're meeting the need in nobody else's community. Just because they did a short demographic study. Let's do an active, little exercise here. I want you guys to think, maybe much where you're at, grab a person beside you or something. Think about what do you think the top 2 or 3 needs in the town are. So, just kind of talk amongst yourself for a second. What do you think the top 2 or 3 needs in Quorum are? And I'll ask you here in a second after you discuss it for a second. Come up with maybe your top 2 or 3, you think. Alright, so what do you guys think? Holler out some of your thoughts. Something for the kids? After school activities? That's a good one. What else are some needs? What do you guys think?
I think recovery or support for people that are trying to get clean, stay clean.
Very good. That's a great one.
Businesses, we need businesses.
Pizza parlor. Pizza parlor. Amen. That's a good one.
We don't have grocery store.
Yeah.
So
Food would be a good one. You guys have dollar movement?
yeah.
Okay. Those are great ideas. Food pantry would be very, very good. Let's take the recovery one. How can we address that? Family. Yeah. What? Well, not necessarily. We got yeah, either that. Yeah. We actually work closely with the Living Free. It's a drug recovery program. They got a lot of different divisions, but they got one. It's just a community talk group. You can go through training and take a little bit further. It's a great program. Highly recommend it. We worked with one church in the Boot Hills of Missouri. They started a recovery program, and the judge in town actually sends people to the church for that program. Ain't that unheard of? But it's as simply as finding the need and trying to meet the need. And so that's what we're talking about tonight.
There's a place in Muskogee, there's a church in Muskogee
Yeah.
that is, they have a drug rehab,
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like is it Al-Anon that helps, not necessarily that not ready.
Right, right. Yeah,
But the
absolutely.
family still needs support.
Absolutely. It'd be a great place to start. So this comes out of, like, say you do your demographic study, you find some needs you want to be targeted on, and that's what we're trying to talk about right now. But here's a couple examples of us doing this. In Pleasanton, Kansas, Lynn County, over 70% of the population has no church affiliation. Attica, Indiana, 80% of the town does not attend a church. This was the information found out from them doing demographic studies. Arizona church I talked about the single parents. Fredonia, Kansas, this was an interesting one. The church we did a training at the church of Fredonia, Kansas. They did a demographic study and they found out their town was #1 in the county for people cohabiting together. So people that are not married or just stacking up, or just living together, and they're the #1 in their county, or in their state, in their county for that. And so they thought, okay, what can we do to address this problem? Well, they got the sandwich boards on, you get them, they went out and said, hey, you're going to hell if you're not married. I'm kidding. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. This is what they did instead. They put an ad in the local paper advertising a free wedding. They're giving away a free wedding. And so what they do, once a month they gave away a free wedding. In the wedding, if you won the free wedding, you got a marriage license, mandatory premarital counseling, use of sanctuary and fellowship hall, cake and a punch, reception, a wedding coordinator, music and sound tech, photographer, and minister. Ain't that amazing? Do you see the hook there? What's the hook? The hook is mandatory marital counseling, right? And so they've got to go sit down with the pastor and talk to the pastor about it. So this was just a great example of a church recognizing a problem and developing a solution that's outside the box. Because, a lot of churches wouldn't think of giving away free weddings, but it met a need in their town, and they're well known in the town now because of this program. So see, a lot of times we see the solution. We Christians are very good at this. Is we know what should be done. We know the answers. Yet sometimes it's like, yeah, this is what they should do. And we're not helping nobody. Here's a great example of that. I love this one.
Isn't joking. I definitely said Jared was joking. You know exactly what to do. You've seen the movies. You make it all stand behind the guy and pull hard and action on the solar plexus. Just smells the food. Just like I told you. Yes, I told you. Make it happen.
Let's talk. Make it happen. We know what to do, but yet we don't do it. And the world we live in today, this is where the church and we as Christians are losing ground. I believe. This is a personal belief. I'll get off topic here on my soapbox. But we as Christians take this approach, and I call it the Christian crutch, is I'll pray for it. Which, please don't misunderstand me. Everything starts and everything is bathed in prayer. But it wasn't called the Acts of the Apostles because they just prayed the whole time. They actually did something. When you see a need happening, John chapter 5, one of my favorite verses, the man at the well, what did he tell Jesus he needed? Jesus said, don't you want to be made well? What did the guy say? Yeah, I have no man. He didn't say I need prayer. He didn't say I needed a sermon. He didn't have no man to take him from where he was at to where he needed to be. That's all he needed. I just need a lift from here to there. That's all he needed. He needed a sermon. He needed a tract. He didn't need prayer. He just needed a man. Today our world needs men and women of Christ showing the love of Christ in a practical way. And that's what we're talking about tonight. And it all starts with doing. We know what to do. Now we're going to do it. Here's a great place to start, is stakeholder relationships. So community stakeholders. Nothing happens outside a meaningful relationship. And so take the Andy Griffith Show. Okay? Who do you think was a stakeholder in the Andy Griffith Show? Andy Griffith, he was a sheriff in town, right? Who else was a stakeholder in the Mayberry there? Barney? He was a policeman. Who else? Aunt B was very much a stakeholder. Anybody else? Barber guy, he knew everything, right? Floyd. Yeah, Floyd knew it. So here, when we talk about community stakeholders, we're talking about anybody who has investment in the community to make it a better place. So we're talking the town sheriff, we've got a fire captain here, we're talking maybe the city council, we're talking maybe the teachers, some business people, maybe the guy who's lived here 90 years, we're talking him. We're talking people who have investment in the county of Coram, in the town of Coram. And so what we're going to do, I want you guys to identify some of those. So who do you think are some community stakeholders there in Coram? Shout it out. Business owners. Who?
Yeah.
Okay. There's Jay. Perfect. Absolutely. Business owners. You guys have any teachers in church? Yeah. Not actually. Okay.
The senior citizens community.
Yeah. Absolutely. They're stakeholders. But the mayor? There's the mayor. Board. Those guys on the board, those will be stakeholders. And let me tell you, every stakeholder you go to befriend are not going to be Christians. And that's okay. Why? Because they want the best for the town. They want the best for Coram. And so what we want to do is we want to make friendship with these stakeholders. We want to go to them and say, hey, we're just a little church, but if you could dream your dream for Coram, what would that look like? How can we help be a part of that? Again, we don't have a lot of money, we're a little church, but we can do something. We worked at a church in Missouri recently, we did that with the local school. Went to the school and said, hey, what can we do? He said, well, we need the bathrooms and the hallways painted. The church was like, well, we got the workers, don't think we got the money to buy all the paint. He said, well, that's perfect. We have the paint, we don't have the workers. We don't know because we don't ask. The church couldn't afford the paint, but they had the courage to ask what we could do. And it worked out to be a perfect relationship. And so what I'm suggesting is we befriend these stakeholders and say, hey, we want the best for our community.